Hi, this is Brian Kim. I'm going to share with you case number 274 in the Best Way to Do Cataract Surgery series. And the title of this series is not to suggest this is best and only way, but to get you to think critically of your technique so that you can provide the very best for your patient. And so this is a dense cataract and the patient has zonulopathy. You can see evidence of zonulopathy throughout the case. I'll point those moments out as I do the case. And then because of the zonulopathy, I'm going to employ a no rotation lens disassembly technique and then a zonule-friendly CTR injection technique. As you can see, this is the eye, this is the right eye. This patient has a strong Bell's reflex. Patient's trying to turn the eye up. So I'm using a cotton tip to help control the eye and center the eye. And this is the corneal marker, which will help me to center and size the rexus. And this is my paracentesis incision, first on the right side. And then the left side, I'm going to ask the patient to look down. And now the patient looks down. I'm using another cotton tip to control the eye as the patient's looking down. And then I make my incision, again, staying flat to iris plane, which creates a nice corneal shelf, which will allow me to achieve a self-sealing incision. As I continue to control the eye with that cotton tip, I go ahead and switch to a cannula and inject some intracameral epinephrine and then some dispersive viscoelastic to inflate the anterior chamber. This is a triplanar corneal incision. I make a vertical groove, place the blade into the deep part of the groove, tunnel, and then I enter. And then using that same cannula the entire time, I'm able to control the eye to prevent the Bell's reflex. I always use the two-handed technique whenever I can to help me, because if you have two hands, it's better than one, and especially in these cases. I puncture the center with the Moria sharp tip microrexus forceps, and I pull down towards me. You can see as I'm doing the rexus, there's some laxity of the zonules. As I continue to pull the rexus, you can see some zonular laxity and some lack of counter force as I'm going around circumferentially. But, it still has some strength, and I'm being very, very careful as I go around. I'm using that cannula to control the eye so that I can have the best control as I do the rexus. And then I finish off the rexus. Burp some viscoelastic out. And this is the capsule fornix hydrodissection technique. I place a cannula under the rexus edge contra-incisionally, point the tip down and do a little bit of a wiggle. Get a wave, lift the lens up, decompress. I try not to be too aggressive on the bag and decompressing since the zonules are weak. And oftentimes in these cases, it's hard to decompress because as you push down, there's some zonular laxity, so I don't really try to perseverate with that step. I can loosen it up a little bit later. Lift the incision with the chopper, go in with irrigation off to minimize Descemet's trauma, removing the surface epinuclear material. I'm always bevel down with my technique. Again, you can see how much jiggling there is to the lens. I decided to do a terminal chop technique, and that is because, one, it creates more space. Number two, because I want to create more space with the situation of weak zonules, this just gives me a lot of competitive advantage to be able to separate the lens and then hopefully disassemble the lens. And as I said, in a no rotation technique. So I'm sculpting. You can see as I'm pushing, even though I'm trying to just cut with minimal zonular stress, you can see that the lens does move as I do this. I switch to bevel down. I place the chopper under the rexus edge contra-incisionally, fracture the terminal side, and then propagating that chop all the way across, and that is called the terminal chop technique. It's a modification of a stop and chop technique, chopping from the terminal side, which facilitates the fracturing, especially in really dense lenses. I slide the chopper carefully under the rexus edge, under the right heminucleus, and I want to make sure I'm under the rexus edge as I do this maneuver. Pull the chopper centrally toward the ficca tip, fracturing that piece against the phaco tip, and the phaco tip is acting as a chopping block, and that is the cross chop. Lifting that first quadrant with the chopper and the phaco tip, using the chopper to just hook the peripheral lens up, and then eating up that piece. Trying to gently separate that second quadrant from the rest of the lens, sliding the chopper around that lens, trying to hook it, get around it without causing zonular stress here. Not able to get all the way around. And here now you see how I was able to stretch and crack that piece, and I was pulling it on the top side with the phaco tip, and as I was cracking that second quadrant with the phaco tip, it flipped it up, and so the bottom part popped up, and I was able to loosen it up and remove it. Using some vacuum, I'm grabbing that left heminucleus, lifting it up, getting the chopper around it, and then fracturing the lens. So again, so far, no rotation with this technique thus far, and that is because I know there's some zonular weakness, and I'm trying to employ a no rotation technique for this case. All this started off because when I was doing the rexus, I could sense that the zonules were weak. So now the endonucleus is gone. I removed the epinucleus. So I take the chopper out, push BSS in, take the phaco tip out, and I go in with the irony handpiece. Starting subincisionally, removing the cortex material. You can see there's still quite a bit of epinucleus. In cases when there's weak zonules, it's not a bad idea to keep that epinucleus there. Gives you a little bit of protection from the posterior capsule, a weak posterior capsule. And so in this case, I kept that epinucleus partly as a shield to help me as I'm trying to remove the cortical material. So you can see there's this thick haze and sheet of material that's still attached to the posterior capsule. I'm in cortex mode right now, and I'm just very carefully trying to peel that stuff off, just using pedal control. You can see that stuff is adherent. And again, the posterior capsule is very floppy, and that is because of the zonulopathy. There's not as much peripheral tension of the zonules on the capsular bag, and therefore you can see how floppy that posterior capsule is. I'm trying to remove that fine layer of cortical material that's attached to the posterior capsule. So at this point, I decide to just stop. So I turn off infusion, fill the bag with cohesive viscoelastic. And this is a capsular tension ring. I like to lift it up out of the casing that it comes, so it's a little bit elevated. And then on the left eyelet, I go pointed down and engage the left eyelet so it goes in, so it'll deliver in a clockwise configuration. Lifting the incision with the Lester, and then using a two-handed technique. As the CTR goes into the bag, I use the Lester to engage that leading eyelet, which keeps the capsular tension ring in a smaller diameter configuration. It compresses it. By keeping it a smaller diameter, as I inject it, I'm able to minimize any zonular stress as I inject the CTR. Widening the incision. Filling the bag with cohesive viscoelastic. And this is the Sensor AR40 lens. And I'm putting the Sensar lens in because if this bag fails, I can consider using the Amani technique, or at least lassoing this lens bag complex to the sclera, since I do have a CTR in place. This just gives me a little bit of future insurance in case this bag fails. So the Sensar AR40 lens is in the bag. Go in with irrigation off, activate irrigation. Getting underneath the lens, removing all the viscoelastic within the bag. I go to polish mode, trying to polish some of that stuff off. You can see the folds within the posterior capsule, again indicating the level of zonulopathy in this case. I'm just trying to peel some of that stuff using polish mode. So, I'm able to remove some of that stuff, but, at the end of the day, is it worth cleaning all of that versus, later on down the road, just yagging it for the patient? Since I do have polish mode and it's very gentle, I'm proceeding with peeling off that fine lens material that's adherent to the posterior capsule. If I didn't have this polish mode, or if I felt uneasy about the technique, I would just quit and just finish off the case. But since I feel pretty comfortable with this tip and with my setting, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to peel off that stuff. And then removing the viscoelastic from the anterior chamber, and then I'll hydrate my incision. So this is a case of a fairly dense lens, not super dense, but dense enough. And as I'm doing the capsulorhexis, you can see there's some lack of counter force. As I'm pulling the capsule with my rhexis forceps, you can see some lack of counter force and lack of counter resistance as I'm going around and pulling the capsule, which suggests zonular disease. So after I did that, I did a terminal chop. I sculpted a trough in the center and then cracked it from the terminal side. Because if you don't crack it from the terminal side and you just crack it in the traditional stop and shop technique, what's going to happen is you're going to be pushing down on the bag, pushing down on the zonules and causing more stress. So fracturing from the terminal size provides you actually less zonular stress as you do the technique. And then I perform the cross chop, fracturing the right heminucleus by hooking the peripheral lens and then pulling it centrally toward the phaco tip and crushing it against the phaco tip. And then using techniques to, again, hook the lens piece up out of the bag to minimize zonular stress, as well as using vacuum to pull the lens pieces up out of the bag. I was able to do a no rotation lens technique and then a minimal zonular stress technique, injecting the CTR by using the Lester to compress the CTR as it was delivered. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.